So last week, I talked about spiritual creation and challenged you to think about or even just take one of your desires in some area of your life and to spiritually create it by really seeing it, describing the details, feeling it with your, all of your different senses. And that's an important step towards exercising our faith to be able to create these things in our lives and receive them from God. And wanted to come back to a story that I went over a couple weeks ago as we were talking about intentions and getting clear on what we desire. And this is where the Lord is talking to John the Beloved. And John the Beloved, so the Lord says to him, this is in Doctrine and Covenants, section 7, verse 1. He says, "John, my beloved, what desirest thou? For if ye shall ask what ye will, it shall be granted unto you." And that's when John the Beloved tells Christ that he wants to stay on the earth and to continue to bring souls unto Christ until Christ comes to the earth again. And, Peter kind of, overhears this conversation and he's like, well, why is he getting that? And, the Lord basically says to Peter, Peter, it's, you told me that what you want is to do my work here on earth, and then when you die, to come to me in my kingdom and be able to sit on my right hand. And he said, I told you that you could receive that. So, why is it a problem for me to give this desire to John? And then there's a verse that I think is really telling and that's really critical for our understanding here about spiritual creation and trying to receive by faith in this life. And that's in verse 8. So, after he says this to both of them, the Lord says, "Verily I say unto you, ye shall both have according to your desires, for ye both joy in that which ye have desired." And I like that. I think that's really critical. He's almost saying it's like an if-then statement or a because statement. He says, you shall have what you desire because you take joy in that which you have desired. And to me, this is a signal that part of this recipe or formula for having faith in our lives and having the faith to receive the blessings from our Father in heaven that we desire is having these desires that are clear and then having that joy. So the faith formula then is, first of all, knowing what we desire, creating it spiritually, really feeling it, creating it to the point that we can taste it and touch it and hear it in our minds. And then the second part of the formula is to feel joy in what we desire. If we don't, if thinking about that desire doesn't bring joy to our hearts, we probably don't want it enough, or it's not resonating enough in our hearts for us to really exercise our faith to receive that thing. But if it brings up that joy, and as we're visualizing this and spiritually creating it, if it makes us feel joy, I think that's a signal that we're on the right track. And that's a signal that this is something that we can exercise our faith to receive, because, I think the issue is that if we don't have joy, if it doesn't bring us joy, if it doesn't make us excited to spiritually create it, we're not going to have enough excitement and joy to really exercise our faith to receive it in this life. So that's, kind of both an indicator to us as to if we're desiring things that we can really put our faith behind, and as an indicator of kind of how much faith we have in receiving that particular thing. So knowing what we desire, feeling joy in that desire. And we'll talk more next week about faith and this formula. But the important part of faith is that we believe in our hearts so much that God will bless us with this thing that we desire, that we allow ourselves to feel that joy today of something that we are going to receive in a future day. And I believe that the indicator of our faith, that we are, exercising our faith to receive that thing, is allowing ourselves to feel that joy in that thing now before we receive it. And that's kind of a signal to our Father in heaven that we are exercising our faith to receive that thing. So this is the formula: knowing what we desire, creating it spiritually, and feeling that joy. And we'll come back to this and build upon it. But for this week, I wanted to challenge you to just think about something in your life. Think about something that you desired, that you exercised your faith to receive. And go back and remember how you felt it, how you spiritually created it, and how you felt about it. Chances are that thing that you did receive, you weren't worried and scared, and you weren't feeling negative feelings about it. You were excited about it. You were happy about it. It made you were just excited about the prospect of receiving it, and more focused on that than on worries about not receiving it. So the challenge is, think through different instances in your life where you have exercised your faith and used this formula. And then we'll talk to you next week and build more upon that.